So what does it mean to let go of suffering? To let go of suffering really means letting go of pain. The type of pain that we have been holding on to as humanity for a very long time, not only collectively, but also individually. If you have been hurt before, and you have not been able to process it, to heal it, you are effectively holding on to pain. You are suffering. It's just that you are so used to it, you don't even think of it as suffering. You just think that's the norm. You're just being you. Nonetheless, it's a pain. It's a pain that is very real and very much felt throughout our lives. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time joining me, thank you so much for being here. I value your time and your energy. So the fact that you are sharing it with me, sharing it with us, me and my team, I'm very grateful for that. It tells me that you are listening to what the universe wants to deliver to you. And that's a really good thing, because the universe has a lot in store for us, but we have to be open to receiving it. And if you are hearing this, if you are listening to this, then you are, at least in some way, open to receiving these messages from the universe. I would love for you to like, share, comment. This is how the YouTube algorithm puts these videos up top. And I feel that we have important information to share so that humanity can experience a better life, a richer life, a life with a lot less restricting and limiting beliefs. That is my goal as Joanna and the goal of my team. So I would love to ask for your support to help me support you and also support others. So click the notification button, comment, like, share it with a friend or two. Help me help us raise humanity's frequency, or the frequency of planet Earth. And it happens through every single individual, such as yourself. So thank you so much for being here, because you could be doing something else. The fact that you are here says that you are listening to your heart, and you're listening to, quote unquote, the universe is calling. And the universe is calling for attention, and you are paying attention, and that's a good thing. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for being here. Without you, I wouldn't do this. I love what I do. And without you, there would be no use to practice and embody this information, which is essentially higher frequency. So thank you for being here and being open to this higher frequency guidance to be taken into consideration and applied in your own life. And when each and every individual applies this higher frequency information in their own life, that's how they will ground higher consciousness into planet Earth. And that's how you raise humanity's consciousness. So thank you so much for being here. Today, I feel like I have a lot to cover. I don't know exactly what, but I feel like I have a lot to cover. And I'm going to talk a little bit about, we're going to talk a little bit about what humanity is going through right now, what is in this particular moment. I want to say the words November and December. What are the energies that we are collectively working with? So I'm going to go through that. And then I have 3 individual piles to help you maybe understand a little bit deeper your own unique situation. So each pile will offer its own usable information that hopefully will align with your particular situation and will allow you to make better choices and better decisions for yourself. So ultimately to help you live your own life. Whatever pile you're drawn to, listen to your intuition. And if something doesn't make sense, don't try to make it fit. Your body will tell you whether this frequency is resonating with you or not. In fact, if you're here, it means that at least on some level you are resonating with this frequency. So that's a good thing. Okay, let me go through some of the themes that were coming up for me when I was tuning into the energy. And basically, I asked the question, how is the universe supporting us as we move on to new beginnings? Because collectively, we are in a massive shift, massive movement. We've talked about this before many times. And this massive movement represents a massive change. And in order for things to change, we have to say no to some things. We have to say no to a certain way of being. And that essentially says, that essentially shows that we are in massive process of letting go of the old in order to experience the new. And the letting go is not easy, because letting go means absence of. So by letting go, there is a fear that comes up often that we are losing something. By letting go, we are losing something. In fact, we're not losing anything. What's happening is we are gaining. We are not losing when we let go, we are gaining. And humanity is focusing right now on what it's losing. So it wants to hold on to it for dear might. But as we move forward, as we progress forward as humanity, and constant movement is a natural flow of universe, trying to stop something from happening is like trying to stop day from coming up, or trying to stop the sun from coming up. It's pretty much impossible. However, when we do that, when we are trying to hold on to something that is no longer necessary or required, we will create a massive resistance, or massive resistance is created when we try to hold on to. And resistance is, as you know, I'm sure, pretty uncomfortable. So the idea here is that the universe is going to share information with us that will help us hopefully be a little bit less resistant to what's going on. The other theme was, what are we saying no to? I don't want this anymore. Humanity is essentially asking the question, what do I want? Is this still what I want, or do I choose something different for myself? And if I choose something different for myself, I must let go of something that always has been. And this is where humanity is at right now. This is where you are at right now, because you are part of the collective. So we are in this precipice. We're in this precipice. We're in this valley, let's say, where we are, our view is obstructed and we cannot see very much, and we are trying to navigate this process without really understanding what is going on. So what's going on is that naturally, as we've said before, humanity's consciousness is rising. Planet Earth's frequency is rising. We are in the process of becoming more multidimensional beings on a conscious level. And in order for that to happen, our beliefs have to shift and change. Why is this happening? Because collectively as humanity, we are deciding somewhere there that we want or desire humanity to experience and express itself in different ways, in ways that are a lot less aligned with fear and lack of prosperity. In other words, humanity collectively wants to experience more of love, of unity, of freedom of expression, of abundance. That's collectively what humanity wants for itself. In order for that to happen, we as humanity have to let go of what has been holding us from doing so, from experiencing so, from creating such. And as humanity, we are going through the process of remembering not only that we are humans, but we are also something a lot more than that. And that's called the process of waking up. In other words, the planet Earth is creating conditions where humanity's consciousness is able to be raised. Also, as planet Earth's frequency rises, you are on planet Earth, your frequency naturally will begin to rise. That's just inevitable. What does it mean when we say frequency rises? Essentially, we embody more light. And in order for us to hold more light, and we'll talk about why that is important, we have to let go of resistance to it. Okay? Light is also represented as knowledge. In other words, know thyself. Really what that statement means is to know you or self fully is to know the truth, the ultimate truth. And the ultimate truth is that there is nothing other than consciousness itself. Some call it God. It's not a thing, it's not a being, it's a force that cannot be described or understood by the human mind. However, we are in the process of moving in that direction, which means our thoughts and our perceptions about what quote-unquote God is going to change. That God is not this almighty person sitting on the throne and judging you for being a bad boy or bad girl. Judgment comes from the human mind alone. Universe holds no judgment. There is no such thing. Judgment is a human thing. Therefore, the closer we get to the idea of God, if you want to use that name, the closer we are moving to higher consciousness. The more we move towards higher consciousness, the more we vibrate higher, the more we release ourselves from judgments. Imagine for a moment if you judged yourself less. And then imagine for a moment that if you judged others less. And then think of a moment where the idea of judgment wouldn't even exist. Think of the idea of not being judged. That is not the same as discernment. Judgment is like a knife. It cuts things. It separates things. Humanity is used to living in separation of itself. You, being part of humanity, are used to living as a separate being. You're used to living in the state of separation. But separation, or the idea of separation, is very much a human thing. But we are more than just a human, and collectively we are beginning to realize, recognize, remember that we are more than just humans. We are more than just skin and bones. We are more than our intellect. In fact, we are so much more, it's almost incomprehensible. Okay? We cannot grasp it. And that's okay. The higher we vibrate, the more we can grasp just how powerful we are. So, why are we doing this? Why are we going through this process of shifting and changing? Because humanity has had enough of suffering. And if you are a regular human being like me, Joanna, suffering is something you want less of, not more of. Because God only knows there is enough suffering in the world. But why would we want to suffer less? I mean, that's an obvious question, but why is that? Why do we want to suffer less? What is suffering? Suffering means being in pain, consciously or unconsciously. Humanity has been living in pain for a very long time. And the pain is the result of the illusion of separation. So, the more we begin to remember that we are not separate, that we are all part of one, the more we realize there is really nothing to fear. There is no loss per se. There is no pain even per se in higher consciousness, but in this human body, this is what we are experiencing. And suffering is very much a human thing. And the pain is very real, both physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. In other words, as humanity, we are deciding on some level that we do not want to suffer anymore. We're done with, thank you, I'm done with suffering. I've had that understanding. Thank you very much. Now, everyone wants to suffer less. No one wants to suffer. With probably maybe very few exceptions, but there's probably no one that says, I want to suffer more. It's not how it goes. We want to suffer less. So what does it mean to let go of suffering? To let go of suffering really means letting go of pain. The type of pain that we have been holding on to as humanity for a very long time, not only collectively, but also individually. If you have been hurt before, and you have not been able to process it, to heal it, you are effectively holding on to pain. You are suffering. It's just that you are so used to it, you don't even think of it as suffering. You just think that's the norm. You're just being you. Nonetheless, it's a pain. It's a pain that is very real and very much felt throughout our lives. It is the very idea, or let's say, wars happen because we are in disalignment from ourselves, because we live in separation. If we understood what we are, what we truly are, if we truly remembered what we are, there would be no need for wars. So, one of the major benefits of letting go of pain is the cessation of idea of war. Why do we want war in the first place? I talked about this before. Nobody wants war. Well, then why is it happening? Somebody must want it. You want war because you are in pain. And you're trying to solve that pain by creating this war. Doesn't work that way. War solves nothing. It only perpetuates the same. It only perpetuates more pain, because war brings pain. Doesn't bring pleasure, it brings pain. So you see, we don't want pain, but we are creating our own pain. Why are we doing that? Why are we creating pain for ourselves? How does that even make sense? It's like saying, I want more pain in my life. Well, we don't think of it that way because we're not used to think of it that way. We're not used to asking the question. Why am I at war with myself? I must be in pain if there is an inner conflict going on. And that's the healing path. That's what we are here to heal. By remembering more, by becoming more aware, by becoming more conscious, we are realizing that in order for pain to cease in the world, and pain is suffering, we have to deal with our own internal, human, personal pain. I'm not talking about the pain you get from cutting your skin. That's very appropriate for the body to do. It's telling you there is some tear in the mechanism. That's appropriate. I'm not talking about that. That kind of pain is actually necessary. I'm talking about the kind of pain that we suffer with on the inside. The type of pain that's happened long time ago but hasn't been healed. And every single one of us as human beings is holding on to that. We each hold on to our own pain. We don't know we're doing it. We certainly don't mean to do it, but we do it. And that prevents us often from moving on from the pain. Well, if you hold on to something, you can't move on from it. So, how do you let go of pain? How do you let go of pain? A big one here. Through forgiveness. Can you forgive yourself for the pain you have caused? Or can you forgive the person who has given you the pain? Can we do that collectively? I'm seeing no way. Well, if there is no way that you believe that you can or want to forgive, then what you are saying is you are choosing to stay in pain. Why would you want that? Why would you want to live in pain? Why would you want to live in separation? Isn't belonging and sense of being part of something and loved, isn't that what you want? Isn't that what we all want? Then why are we creating separation again? We are creating separation, or the illusion of separation. We are separating ourselves from each other because of the pain that we are holding on to. Pain being the idea that we are separate, that we are not part of one. That's the biggest pain. You may not think of it as pain because you don't feel it like a cut on your body, but it's pain. Oh, it is pain, all right. It is probably the greatest wound that we have to heal. And as I'm saying this to you, I'm going, oh my gosh, that's a big job. Yes, it is. When we heal, alone or together, we begin to feel whole. When we begin to feel whole, we don't feel that we're missing something and therefore we have to fill it with something. Wholeness speaks of tremendous power because wholeness allows you to be fully in yourself. If you're not fully in yourself, you have a tendency to try to be somebody else. What is humanity trying to do right now? What is its goal? Do we have a goal? Perhaps we don't have a goal as humanity. If you were to ask every single person what they desire for themselves in terms of humanity, what do you desire? Question for you. What do you desire in terms of humanity? Where would you love to see humanity? And you'll have your own answer. It's probably a very powerful answer and a very noble answer. Here's the question. How will you contribute to that? How will each and every one of us, how will we contribute to that? First and foremost, we have to have a vision for ourselves. Without vision, there is no destination. If everybody is doing their own thing and they're not paying attention to the greater whole, then there is no vision to be had. When there's no vision, there's no destination. When there's no destination, there is, well, stuckness. It's nowhere to go. And we want to move forward. So what will you do to co-create the vision you have for humanity? Do you want humanity to experience more peace? And by the way, you being part of humanity, you will be participating in experiencing that peace. So if you want more peace in humanity, guess what? You have to cultivate that peace within yourself. You have to find it within you. You have to uncover it, unearth it, because it's there. Always been there, always will be. This is a natural part of who you are. But you are not living your life from that space. Why? Because we believe that we are separate. We believe in separation. We will never truly heal as humanity as long as we believe that we are separate. As long as we feel that we believe that we are separate, we are not going to work towards unity. We are part of all that is. We are all connected. We are all part of one. That is a very hard concept to grasp for some logical beings. How can I be part of one? Simple. Your energy. Your energy has no beginning and no end. Everything around you is energy. You are connected to everything that's around you. There's no beginning, there's no end. You are part of everything and all that is. You are that grand. Do you believe that? Probably not. Why don't you? Well, probably the biggest reason is because you believe something else. So what is it that you believe that makes you believe that you are not that? What do you believe about yourself that makes you think that you are not good enough, or not beautiful enough, or not powerful enough, or not capable enough? Whatever it is that you have about yourself as an objection. What beliefs are you holding on to that are not allowing you to be fully you and living in a space of being part of the one? I thought that was very interesting when I said, what's humanity going through? They showed me the devil. Okay, that's restrictions. We are working through our restrictions by realizing what the restrictions are. Now, that's very interesting, because what that means is that many times we don't even know something is a restriction. We only know it when we look at it from a different perspective, and then we recognize something that, oh, wow, that's a restriction. You may be doing that inside of yourself, realizing that you have self-imposed restrictions upon yourself. It's called beliefs. And those self-imposed restrictions will not allow you to see the bigger picture. Okay. And if we can't see the bigger picture, if we can't see other perspectives, we're going to be stuck. So we are in a process, humanity-wise, of, I want to say, becoming unstuck by realizing that we have been stuck. We just didn't know that we were stuck. Okay. Well, if we are not moving forward, then we must be stuck. But if we're not stuck and we're moving forward, does that mean that we're choosing to stay where we are and just stay? We can't, because everything is about growth and evolution. Everything changes. You cannot just stay the same all the time, because that's impossible. Things have to change. Why right now? Because it's time. Because you've asked for it. We've all collectively have asked for it, and you participating in this collective powerful experience are part of that. You are part of the exchange of energy between the universe, yourself, and planet Earth. You are here for a reason. You are here to be the value maker and value breaker. No. You don't break valuable things. You shift your belief and your idea on what is of value. What is of value. And perhaps the things we hold a lot of value in really don't have that much value. Maybe other things have more value, but we just haven't recognized the value. For example, referring to your past for information and guidance is very valuable, because that means that you are able to learn from your experience or your mistake, or our experiences or our mistakes. However, getting stuck in the past means that we are constantly perpetuating the same old cycles. And we as humanity have been perpetuating the same old cycles over and over and over again. And I'm here the word for millennia. Millennials? And now it's time to change that. We are being divinely guided and supported with that. Some of you, I want to say the word through aliens. I don't like that word, but extraterrestrials. Some of you, some of humans on planet Earth are receiving light codes from other destinations beyond this planet Earth. And it's probably, actually, it's very likely why we are having this uptick in UFO in situations, UFO sightings, all this UFO information coming out. That's why, because we are becoming less resistant to understanding what is outside of this planet Earth, and to bring that awareness to planet Earth. And that's very scary, because if all our lives we have been taught that there is nothing other than us, and there is nothing other than humanity, all of a sudden having something appear to you that's out of this world is potentially very scary. It's very confusing to the human psyche, because it fundamentally almost like erodes our conditioning. Okay. And that takes some getting used to. Okay. There is some opposition that would not want us to know that information. I'm not going to get into the reasons why. I think that's obvious. But there are beings on this planet who do not want humanity to know this information. Why? Because having this information is also a recognition of one's power. Not quite sure how, but that's how it's coming through. And let's face it, everyone wants to feel in their power. Everyone wants to be in their power. And we're moving towards empowerment as humanity, which means if that's what we are moving towards, we have not been there. We have not been in an empowered state. We have been living in mostly disempowered state. That's the result of separation. Okay. There are many beings out there trying to give their quote-unquote helping hand. And notice what we as humanity want to do. We want to protect ourselves and eliminate, or we are meeting those other beings with fear. Why so much fear? Again, fear comes from separation. So there's a few things going on. There's a lot more incidences of the UFO kind, and a lot more people saying, I'm not going to stand for this anymore. I want the truth. And that is having a ripple effect on a social fabric. Okay. What happens when there's a ripple effect on a social fabric? Well, there's ripples. Things begin to move and shift. If you're an overly intellectual being, and you probably wouldn't be here if that was you, but if you are an overly intellectual being, realizing that there is something that is outside of your norm that you always thought was impossible could be quite shattering for your ego. You could be at some point asking yourself, what is the truth? And that's the whole point. The whole point of this experience is to realize the truth, the higher truth, the bigger truth. The truth we always cannot see because it is obscured by our own individual truth. There's always another truth. The biggest one being that we are all part of one. There it is. And there is a gazillion other types of truths depending on your experience or what angle we're looking from. So we're shifting gears as humanity, and it's going faster and faster. And for some people, it may feel too fast. That's because when we are moving quickly, when things are moving quickly, oftentimes chaos ensues. And as you can probably tell, we are experiencing a lot of chaos. Is this chaos necessary? I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it seems to be the norm. It seems to be that whenever there is a big shift that's happening, there is often a chaos that precedes that. And that's because this chaos is part of the change. This chaos is part of the change in frequency, if you will. Okay? And that is a big job. As humanity, we are doing a really big job. To know yourself, and to know yourself fully and truly, is the biggest jobs you will ever have. In fact, everything you do is you knowing yourself. The question is this for humanity: how well do we know ourselves? How well do we know ourselves? Do we fully know ourselves? I would say mostly no. For one, how can you know yourself if you believe that you are separate? If you are separate, then that means you don't know yourself, because that is not the highest truth. And to know the highest truth, you have to first find that truth. You have to find it within you, because that truth is within you. That's the kicker. The truth is within each and every individual. Every single individual embodies knows this truth on the inside. It's just that there's layers of other truths on top of it that we cannot see it. And right now, we are uncovering our layers. We are saying, okay, that's a layer, that's a belief that I don't need. This is a system that is limiting. This is a space that is confining. We don't want any more limitations, is what we are saying, which is all wonderful and good. But we first have to begin with our own. So what are your limits? What are your perceived limits? And do you want to remain stuck in your perceived limits? That's obviously an easy question, but what's a limit? How do you identify a limit? Well, for one, when we say we can't, that's limiting. Well, but Joanna, I can't fly. Well, no, you're a human, but you can do other things that can give you experience of flying. There's always another way. We as humanity are saying there has to be another way. That's a good question to ask. That's a good statement to make, because it invites the question, how? What is another way? Can we experience life as a human in a different way? Yes. But first we have to be willing to change. We cannot experience something different if we keep on practicing the same thing. So we are looking as humanity at the things that we are practicing. For one, we are practicing war. Why are we doing that? Why are we practicing war? Not only collectively, but also individually. Why are we practicing being at odds with ourselves? Why? What good does it do? Okay. All it does, it creates more separation. So if you are here watching this, you are likely, I'll use the word focusing lightly. You are focusing on freeing yourself from your own confinements. You are one of those individuals who is choosing to be here on planet Earth in order to experience more of life and then share that experiences with others. For many of you, you are here to teach, but it's not the conventional teaching. Although that could be the case, but that's not the message. The message is not you are here to be a teacher as a conventional teacher. You are here to show how to live by example. Okay? When someone sees you living a life that's full of joy and happiness, likely chances are they're going to say, how do you do that? Because everybody wants that. Then there's an opportunity to say, here's how I rediscovered my truth. I have created a new identity for myself. I allowed myself to experience something different according to me and what I choose, not what somebody chooses for me or tells me what to do or how to live my life. And then the person goes, oh, okay, how do I do that? Boom, process begins. So you're not necessarily here to teach per se, but you are here to show up and live your life the fullest and live by example or lead by example. You are a way shower. That's why you're here. That's why this information is so important for you to know and understand. If you're going through this and you don't consider yourself as a quote unquote spiritual healer or anything of that sort, you might be wondering what the hell is going on in my life? Like, why do I feel this way? This is why, because you've chosen to. You've chosen to be conscious of this process. Now, you're not conscious of this choosing because this choosing didn't happen on your human conscious level. It happened on an unconscious level, your soul, if you will. Okay? Many people are asking, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's my purpose? And people are trying to identify what their purpose is or living life according to their purpose. Here's the funny thing about purpose. Purpose isn't so much about what we do, but how we are doing it, and how are we being doing it. In other words, if we are living in the heart, we will be doing things from our heart space. That will affect how we do things and how we approach everything. For one, we're going to be a lot more open. Okay? On the other hand, if we practice experiencing life from closeness, we're going to experience a lot more restrictions. So your purpose is really to be the fullest of your potential as you are possibly capable of creating within human body. Okay? Using your own individual power to create and also to co-create with the universe and the rest of humanity. We're all co-creating a human existence. And yeah, that is a big thing. Let me go through 3 piles, and each one will represent a message for you, something a little bit more specific to what's going on in your life. So the first one, we have a theme of freedom. Now, obviously, freedom, the word freedom is fairly self-explanatory. But here's what I want to say in addition to that. So your theme right now, pile number 1, is focused around personal freedom. Okay? How do I free myself from a situation? How do I experience my life from a space of a lot more freedom? How do I feel more internal freedom? How do I feel less resistance? How do I feel less restricted? All of these themes right now, pile number 1, will be something that you will likely be experiencing. Okay? Because you're in a space of expansion, everyone is, but because in your own expansion, in other words, you could be surrounded by a group of people or family and you feel like you're expanding, but other people are kind of staying where they are. So when I say you're in a process of expansion, it could be in that way. Because you are in a process of your own expansion, you're also realizing that there are some things that you are here to do that you have been ignoring or you are not connected to. In other words, you're having big realizations about what my purpose is. And perhaps realizing what your quote-unquote purpose is going to allow you and afford you this freedom that you are seeking. Your purpose could be to become a plumber. You realize, I love plumbing. That could be a purpose. It doesn't have to be quote-unquote spiritual job, because everything is spiritual, okay? First and foremost. Becoming a plumber, coming into work every day, embracing life to the fullest and beaming light out of your heart, affecting everything and everyone that is around you. That's how you could potentially be living your purpose. Okay? You don't have to do spiritual things to be on purpose or to have a higher purpose. Your job is to be. Okay? Maybe you are requalifying yourself. Maybe you are beginning to think, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life as far as a job? And you're beginning to realize that there is something gnawing at you that wants you to pursue something else. But of course, fears will come up because, again, we have a tendency to hold on to the old because it's known. And remember, as per the big message, we are moving. So you are also in a process of release. Okay? They're saying release takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. And I just felt this energy, like when we release, we almost have like this rush of energy, and this rush of new energy as a result of releasing can make us feel a little bit out of balance, because it's when we release something that's fundamental, we jump into a different vibration. I'm just going to use that analogy, and that literally feels in the body very different. And that may feel alarming to some people because all of a sudden you're feeling different. You don't know who you are. You may not know where you are. And you might feel a little bit confused. That can happen. Okay? I'm just tuning into that message. They're saying confusion is part of growing up. Okay, I take that statement. We could say you are growing up. You are becoming more adult-like from a spiritual perspective. You're growing. You are in the process of growing. I'm not calling you a child, by the way. It's just that we are in stages, and you're growing. You're moving on to the next stage as a person, as a human being. And that is going to allow you to feel a lot more freedom. Also notice that you are a free person right now. Likely you are not bound in a room by chains. Very likely that is not you. Okay. So for most of you who are listening to this pile number one, you are in exchange of your freedom right now. You're relatively free. Can you go and rob a bank? No, because that's societal rules, and you wouldn't want to live in a society where people are free to do what they want without repercussions and damaging other people's property or doing something unkind. You wouldn't want that. Okay? But for the most part, you're free. Yet there's something that's unsettled. What's this unsettled feeling? Why is it unsettled? What is unsettled? It has to do with the feeling of freedom. So maybe you don't feel free, and that makes you feel unsettled. Maybe you feel like you are stuck. Maybe you are in an experience of the proverbial devil where you feel like you're chained to a wall and you can't move. That's going to change soon, pile number one. It's because you're moving in frequency. So there's an interesting thing going on with you, pile number one. Also, thank you. The 7 and 3 represents a 10, which is an end of a cycle. We have authority. Notice it's in reverse. And again, I'm not a tarot reader. I'm just going to tune in and see what it wants to come through. Currently, you are not owning your authority. Okay, so what do I mean? What do I mean by authority? They're saying you're not sure of yourself. In other words, you're unsure of yourself. And when you are unsure, you will have a tendency to be relatively timid. You won't be as bold. And from that space, you will experience your life, which will be, you know, limited. Okay? Owning your authority means owning your truth, embodying your truth, and being in your own power. So pile number one, you are not in your own power yet. The question is why? Who do you give your power to? Who has your power? If you don't feel you have power, who has your power? Because that's obviously very limiting. If you don't have your power, who has your power? Pile number one, the question for you is, who do you give your power to and why? Does it serve you? Do you want that? Do you want someone to be in power over you? Just play those questions in your mind, okay? Also, when you don't own your authority, you're telling others that you're not sure of who you are. So if you're not sure of who you are, they're not going to be sure of who you are either, because you're not sure of you. Okay? If you're someone who is very unsure, you could be very competent, but if you're someone who is very unsure, other people are not going to see your competency, they're going to see your unsureness. Okay? Now, one might say, I don't care how people see me. Well, yes and no. If you are, for example, going for an interview and you are very timid, but you have amazing skills, that may prevent you from getting hired. You may be passed by despite the fact that you have incredible skills, because you will hold yourself back. You're not going to be using your skill to the best of your ability. And that may prevent you from getting a job. I don't know why this is coming up as an example, but maybe this is the situation you are in. On the other hand, owning your authority, you show up being sure of yourself. Not overly ego, but just being sure of yourself, solid. Okay? When someone is talking to you, they're like, okay, this is a solid person. I trust them. I can give this to them and I don't have to worry about them. I trust it. That's a big thing. That's a big thing. You're not there yet. And this is coming for you, pile number one, precisely because you are, quote unquote, here to lead people. So, if you are not in your own authority, how will you lead? How will you lead? You won't. You're going to be the follower. Well, you can't be a leader and a follower at the same time, either one or the other. Okay? Now, follower doesn't mean bad. Not every single human is here to lead. That wouldn't work that way. And not every human is here to be a follower. There's always a leader and a follower. There's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. Sometimes we're followers, sometimes we're leaders, right? You have something substantial that you brought with you from a different lifetime, and it has to do with occult teachings or occult, the idea of occult. You have something to share with the world, but you are holding back because you're not embodying your own authority. In other words, you don't feel safe inside of you yet, and that information is having a really hard time coming through, okay? So your job, if you will, is to work on your sense of authority. Where do you give your power away? How harshly do you judge yourself? Do you let other people's judgments destroy you and keep you awake for weeks? That's giving your power and authority away. We have the card of revelation. Something wants to be revealed to you, but it hasn't happened yet. okay? The number 15, again, represents the devil, and that has to do with limitations, okay? You hold yourself back because of your own limitations, which are stories, but you haven't yet tapped into what the story is. So once you tap into the story, once you realize your limiting story, you'll be able to bring back your authority, which will allow you to experience a lot more freedom, okay? I want to say these words to you. I can almost guarantee it for you. Okay? I don't guarantee things, but this is what they asked me to say. However, you have to be open to what wants to be revealed to you. In other words, you can't say, I don't see it, I don't see it. So, what is it you're not wanting to see, pile number 1? What is it that you are not wanting to see? Because if you're not wanting to see it, there's got to be a really, really good reason for it. Why? Are you afraid? What are you afraid of? Something about not being seen. Well, that makes sense. You might have a fear around being seen. And that may be an old story that belongs in a different timeline, but it's time for that to be revealed, okay? However, I always say, as Joanna, I've done this for almost 20 years. Whenever a person carries something from their past life, from a different timeline, that energy always has to get instigated in this lifetime. In other words, even though it has roots in other lifetimes, it has a significant root in this lifetime. So somewhere in this lifetime, you've developed a fear around being seen. And I suspect for some of you, this is about you feeling ridiculed, made fun of, ridiculed. There's another word that's coming, ridiculed. I want to say the word ridiculed. I feel, were ridiculed in front of other people, and you just naturally started to kind of shy away. So that's a burden some of you are carrying, and it would be really good for you to release it. There's various ways of releasing that. Of course, if you would like help with me, my help, or with my team's help, I will be more than honored to do that. But there is something here to be revealed for you. The spirit animal that came for you is zebra. And what I want to say is, not everything is black and white. In fact, most things are in the gray. Okay. What this is also showing me is that things are about to change for you. Perhaps you are living in what's the word? Oh, I forget the word. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna let that go. Notice her third eye. I think it's a she. There is a feeling of third eye opening. Okay. So you are probably someone that would be called a seer. Perhaps you see things. You also have a very pronounced hearing, and that may be physically, but I'm talking more intuitively and psychically. Okay. But in order for you to really embody these qualities, you have to get out of your head. Okay, so pile number 1, you're likely very much in your head, and it's not allowing you to be fully present. I'll tell you this: if you're not owning your authority, you will tendency to be in your head, because you will be living in fear, okay, and discomfort. Okay, so that's what I have for you, pile number 1. Okay, pile number 2, let's see what messages the universe has for you. We have the card of alienness. I'm just going to go by what I get intuitively. Right away, they're asking me to pay attention to the number 9, okay? 9 is letting go. There is something that you are letting go, pile number 2, that is no longer in accordance to where you're going, okay? And it has to do, oh, okay, all right, this is interesting. Apparently, some of you have been visited by quote-unquote aliens, whether it's in your dreams or in real life. There is I get it, and I actually get discomfort with that when I say it. So I don't know if it's my own discomfort with the message or your discomfort. This is for those of you. Some of you have been visited by aliens. You have a natural contact with other dimensions and other species. However, this is not something you talk about. It's a big no-no. You might be someone who is considered a religious person or have a religious background, and that kind of information was absolutely not allowed to be said out loud. And it's like a part of you that you have sheltered that makes you feel very alone in the world. It's like no one understands you. If I say this, I'm going to freak people out, or God forbid something happens to me. In fact, what I want to say, pile 2, you're an alien. You are an alien. You're not from here. I don't normally give messages like that, but this is, if this resonates with you, it resonates with you. If you're like, no, leave it. It may not be for you. But if you're pile number 2, I suspect majority of you are quote unquote aliens. I don't like the word alien. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use the word other beings, other dimensional beings, other species, other galaxies. Okay? And you are an alien yourself. You come from other places. You are used to living on other planets and other dimensions. And that's part of a reason, or a big reason, why you actually may feel like an alien. You may feel different. Okay? And I feel like for many of you, at least in the past, you didn't want people to know that part about you. Okay? I have a funny feeling that that's going to change. And I want to laugh because it's kind of funny. Because the very thing that you've been resisting most of your life is going to come out in the open, full throttle. It's like, there it is. It's almost like you're going to be known for being an alien. I don't know how that's going to play out in your life, but that's the message that's coming through. And it's a very light energy. It's almost like your guides are going, yes, you're doing it. And you're being encouraged to really come out of your shell. And not only will you do that, you're going to help others do that. So this is a beautiful message of coming out of hiding. And it's there's a lot of yellow, and there's a little bit of orange. And it's almost I want to say the word, your ego has you in its throes. What does that mean? Okay, it's your ego that didn't want you to show yourself truly for who you are. Why? Because it's your ego that has been afraid of a manipulation, devastation, and rejection and abandonment. Okay, so there is a part of you, your part of your identity, that is afraid of being known for who you really are. And I believe in other lifetime or lifetimes, it had you killed. I actually see someone hanging, the idea of someone hanging, and so the throat would be very affected. So you are likely pile number 2, really have been affected. Your throat chakra has been affected, where perhaps you feel very panicky when you're speaking before crowds or groups, which, by the way, is a very normal human thing. I don't think too many people enjoy public speaking, but for you, it's like an incredible fear. It's like it's this emotion rises up, and this could be like even with a group of friends, and you stand up and you want to say a toast, and then you stand up, and it's like all these feelings. It's like you get really flooded with all these feelings. You might even get hot. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So if this doesn't apply to you, just release that energy, release that message. So you coming out of your shell or out of hiding is going to feel not particularly comfortable at first. I'm just going to be honest. Okay? It's because you're going to go, oh my God, what are people going to say? And those are going to be real fears that are going to come up. They're going to say, wow, no, you're going to get rejected. People are going to think you're crazy. Many other thought forms that are going to be talking to you to make sure you don't come out. You're going to say, stop that. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to be me. In other words, you will take a risk and take a chance on feeling rejected or being ridiculed in favor of you being true to yourself and finally living the life you were meant to live. Okay? And I get the word loving unconditionally. We could also say that when you deny an aspect of yourself, you cannot fully love you. You cannot fully embody you. When you deny an aspect of yourself, you are not able to fully love you, to fully accept you. And that's going to hurt. That's the pain that I talked about at the very beginning in the journal message. Okay. So you have a fear, a big one, of being prosecuted, being vilified, or being ridiculed, being rejected around coming out of your shell. Okay. You could also identify yourself as someone who's very different ideas, different views. Your views are not meant to be your views are not meant to be hitting people over their head. Believe this. No, your views are meant to be your views, and they're meant to be shared. And those who resonate with those views like those views and make them their views, because somehow it's freeing. It has to do with conditioning. So you are here to speak out. I want to say this somehow connects with pile number 1. So see if you're drawn to pile number 1 as well. But you are here to be a certain type of a leader that is here to confront old truths. Okay? Very interesting. Solitude. We have 9, I forget what it's called, a Hierophant, I think. Hierophant. You probably have a tendency for isolation, or you may feel like you are wanting to isolate yourself. In fact, isolating is what you have been doing. Do you want to let go of that yet? Letting go of isolation. Why do we isolate? Sometimes isolation is really good. It allows us to recharge our energies. It's time for us. It's just moment of indulging in our own space. That's beautiful. That's very healthy. But when we isolate as a result of a certain fear, that's something very different, because that means that we're using isolation to deal with fear. Are you, pile number 2, someone who tends to isolate because you don't want to be seen? You are afraid of participating fully. Okay? Life is gently going to push you in some life is going to push you out there. Okay? You'll resist. I don't know how the pushing is going to look on your end. But okay, thank you. They're just drawing my attention to a book. For some of you, the pushing might be you writing something out, you communicating something through writing, perhaps through singing, using your voice. But this is some sort of knowledge wants to come through you. And this knowledge is meant to be shared. What's the point of knowledge if no one has access to it? Then might as well not exist, right? And this knowledge wants to be shared, and this knowledge is you communicating with these other beings. And I'm hearing the word with your brothers and sisters. So I have a feeling that pile number 2, you'll be speaking out loud about your unique experiences and the valuable information you have gained as a result of these unique experiences. You're going to be speaking your truth. You're going to tell the truth. You may not say, hey, I'm an alien, but you may speak in terms of expressing your ideas and your beliefs, which are very deeply held within you. Okay? You may be someone who talks about purpose, someone who talks about humanity's future. You are a big seer, okay? But I also see how you want to be in the background. So this is going to be a bit of a push and pull, where the universe is going to try to push you to be more out there, but your tendency is, no, I want to hide. And there's going to be some resistance. When that comes up, I was going to say, let me know. I can work through you. I can work with you through it. Or I can help you work through it. But when this comes up, and it's going to come up early next year, I say, 2024, where you're going to be asked to speak in front of other people. May not be for all of you, but substantial number of you. This could be a wedding, this could be a committee, it could be anybody, group of people. And it's going to scare you, but you have something to share. And this could be as simple as you actually speaking to a group of people and showing them something. It may have nothing to do with spirituality, but it's like you are presenting information, and your throat, that here is very amplified. And what I'm hearing here, what I'm seeing is that this is going to be one of your platforms upon which you stand and speak out. So it may start off as you speaking in a company in front of other people, to then actually speaking out about other subjects. But it's training yourself to be in that position. Okay. Again, I think pile number 2 connects with that energy as well. So see if that pile number 2 makes sense to you. Pile number 1 makes sense to you. Wholeness. So here we have a belief system that says we are missing something. There's something that's missing inside of me. Okay. Now, that's an irony, because there is nothing that's missing, as you know, because you are part of all that exists, and that all that exists has within it everything. You are part of that. So technically speaking, you're not missing a thing. However, your mind thinks it does. So the idea of wholeness is represented because it needs healing. It's also the heart. Okay. Now, heart is often when we hold our pain. Okay. So pile number 2, you're here not only to help and heal your heart and release your own pain, you're here to help others do the same. That's the speaker part of you. Okay. And perhaps you are literally an alien from a different planet who has a fairly amplified, expanded consciousness, and you're choosing to come to this human vibration in order to bring that higher consciousness into humanity. But you first have to remember this consciousness and tap into it. You're tapped into it already. It's whether you want to express it to the outside. That's the question. And if there is a fear, if there's been a fear with you wanting to express that, then that's because you're holding on to some story. Okay? And whatever that story is for you, it's one that is rooted in fear. Again, I think this was for pile 1 as well. I'm seeing an image of someone being prosecuted or vilified. Okay, maybe in past lives you were prosecuted and vilified, but in this lifetime something had to happen. So there is some healing, a wound in the heart space that needs addressing. Okay, and the energy, the animal energy is a firefly. What this is saying here is that this is a perfect moment for new understandings. This is a perfect moment for new understandings. It's like you're in a perfect position to reach. I'm going to say it differently. You're in a perfect position to experience more light. You're in a perfect position to experience higher consciousness, not just to be aware that there is higher consciousness, but actually to experience it. It's embodied. Okay, so to me, this represents mental transformation. Is it mental? No, it's fire, spirit. It's transformation. And it's a very transformative energy. I also see this as this firefly coming out of hiding. Okay. Now, if you've ever seen a firefly, they have usually iridescent wings, and sometimes you can't even see the wings until a certain light hits it, or light hits it at a certain angle. And the wings vibrate very fast. You can bzzz, you can hear it, but sometimes you can't see it. Think of yourself as that vibration. Okay. You can feel it, but you can't see it. Okay? You are moving to an understanding about yourself that has a vibration of, you know something, but you can't, how do I say it, please? You know something is there, but you can't show it in 3D. Just like, you can't see it in 3D. You know there is something, but you can't see it with your 3D human eyes. Very much like the wings, or like a hummingbird. Their wings, they tap their wings so fast, you can't see it. You just hear the bzzz, but you can't see it. You can't. Your eye cannot perceive it, but it doesn't mean they don't have wings. This is the kind of analogy that's coming to me, okay? And some people will be able to receive your knowledge and some won't, and that's okay. Okay? I want to say, don't feel bad if other people, quote unquote, don't believe what you have to say. They don't have to. They don't have to. You know, in order for them to see the firefly wings, for example, they might have to look from a different angle. But if they're not willing to do that, then that's okay. Your job is not to promise people anything. Your job is just to be a communicator. Okay? So that's what I have for you. Pile number 2. Okay, pile number 3, let's see what we have for you. So the theme for you is way showing. Okay? To put it simply, you are here to show the way. Okay? And you are in resistance to it. So the question would be this: do you believe that you are here to show the way? You're a way shower. Okay? If the answer is no, then maybe it doesn't resonate with you. But if you feel you are, but you are resisting it, you want to ask the question why. This is a really important question to ask yourself right about now if you resonate with this. If I believe that I'm here to show the way, if I'm a light worker, if I believe that I'm a light worker, why do I resist it so much? Why am I in so much resistance to it? I heard the word, I don't know how. What do you mean you don't know how? All you have to do is just be your true self. That's how. Simple. It's very easy. Just be yourself. That's how. Now, in order to be yourself, you have to let go of your old inner conflicts, because your conflicts do not allow you to be truly, fully, powerfully yourself. Okay? Being powerfully yourself doesn't mean you have to be a Reiki healer. Being powerfully yourself meaning showing up and dealing with life each and every day in the best way you know how, to the best of your ability, with the utmost heartfelt energy as you can muster. Okay? That requires courage. Why? Because most people don't live in the heart. Living in the heart is quite scary. Why is it scary? Because it's vulnerable. And we tend to shy away from being seen as vulnerable. Why do we shy away from that? Well, what I'm receiving is majority is because we have an association with vulnerability as weak. Okay. Now, that's ironic because every single human being has and is vulnerable. Does that then mean that every single person is weak? Well, that depends how you look at it. Okay. Weakness can also be a strength. Well, how can weakness be a strength? Simple. Understand what the weakness is, what the purpose of the weakness is, and look behind what the weakness is, and behind that is strength. Okay. Pile number 3, you are realizing your quote-unquote weaknesses. What is my weakness? What is my weakness? Yeah, I'm asking them to give me an example. What is my weakness? Okay, let's use it. Let's use the word vulnerability. What is the one vulnerability that you can't escape from, can't get away from, but are terrified to show to the world? What is the biggest thing you fear about being yourself? Abandonment is a very favorite one. Okay. Not feeling loved, feeling rejected. All those things are stories. Okay. We can try to deal with the world rejecting us, but the best way to deal with that is to deal with our own self-rejection. So pile number 3, you are here to address for yourself how you reject yourself. And hold yourself accountable for rejecting yourself. In other words, if you don't want to feel rejected, don't reject yourself. Start there. If you do reject yourself, ask yourself a question: why am I rejecting myself? Am I rejecting myself because I have a weakness? Well, anything that is a part of me is a part of me for a reason, something for me to learn from. So pile number 3, look at your weaknesses. Look at the biggest fears you have as a way of seeing something about yourself that you have not seen before. And that information, that valuable information, will be something that you will eventually offer to others. Okay? It is through your own self-understanding that you will be available to help others transform their lives through your own inner understanding. Okay? Perhaps that's why you're called a way shower. You are here to show how. You're here to show people how. Now, if you don't know how, you're not going to show it. How do you know if you love yourself? Is the question I heard. Ask yourself, do I accept myself unconditionally? If the answer is no, then you don't love yourself. If you are here to show people how to love themselves and you don't love yourself, then what are you showing? You can't show it to them. You don't know how. You have to be willing to learn how so that you can then show it to them. And that means total acceptance of who you are, like it or not. It doesn't mean you can't shift the things you don't like about yourself. It doesn't mean that you can't experience improvement. But if you deprive yourself of life because you believe certain things about yourself, then you're not living fully, are you? If you're not living fully to the best of your ability, how can you show others how to live fully? You can't. You won't be able to. You won't know how. So pile number 3, in order to share your gifts with others, you have to recognize your own gifts. you have to become the gift yourself. Okay? And there's a lot of conflict going on here inside of you, pile number 3. So you may be away, sure, but you are dealing with a lot of inner conflict. I, as Joanna, can actually recognize that right now. There's a lot of conflict going on inside of us, inside of me, but there's a lot of conflict going on inside of us. There always has been, it just seems to be more in our face. So your inner conflict, pile number 3, may be in your face right now, or pretty soon. Okay, that's a good thing, so that you can see what it is, so that you can see the conflict for what it actually is, which is you not accepting part of you, and then ask the question, why? Why don't I accept all of me? You have to be able to accept both the good and the bad in order to feel whole. Bad is a human analogy, is a human word, a human label. Higher perspective doesn't look at anything as good or bad. Okay? You may have had bad experiences, but bad experiences doesn't mean that there was no value in those experiences. Accept the things you are at odds with within yourself and look for the value of what you are accepting. Look for the value of what you are accepting within yourself. Okay? There's a powerful indication of inner child work. If you have done any, continue doing it. If you haven't done any child work, I would encourage you to participate in healing through child work, because it's very, very powerful. Okay. We have obstacles and challenges. So you are in a process of overcoming obstacles, but the way it's shown to me, you are at the end of a road and you're going to have to take a leap of faith. Okay? You may have to make a choice or decision without knowing how you're going to get somewhere, or without knowing what your next steps are. Okay? Because it almost feels like you are in a holding pattern right now. And pretty soon, you're going to be asked to make a choice or decision. Okay? If your inner conflict is ruling you, then you will likely not make the best choices and best decisions for you. You will likely choose out of fear. Okay? And that's something you no longer want. At least that's what they tell me. You no longer want to live in fear. You want to live in your heart. Okay? So, leap of faith is being indicated over the next 2 to 3 months. And yes, it may feel a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay? However, uncomfortable does not mean that it is bad. It's actually, on the contrary, it is a leap of faith. Okay? And this is a big one for you. Pile number 3, this is a big leap of faith. 5s to me represent changes, but it also can connect with the month of May. So between whenever you hear it and May, or May be very significant for you in terms of this message, overcoming certain obstacle and taking a leap of faith. Okay? Be candid. You are used to not speaking your voice or not speaking your truth. Okay? It's the throat. Okay? You're used to suppressing your voice. You're used to suppressing your true identity, okay? Likely because of the conflict that you have within yourself. Normal human stuff, okay? You're coming to a point in your life where you are less, actually, they're showing me you holding your inner child. So you are, okay, thank you. It's like you're getting your voice back by reconnecting and nurturing your inner child and learning how. Most people I work with, as Joanna, have no idea that they're disconnected from their inner child, because the disconnection from their inner child is actually the disconnection from the separation, from the illusion of separation. Okay? We as babies separate from our mothers, and then we're no longer part of our mothers, we're separate. So we identify with the separateness, but we are not separate. Getting back to your voice. What you say and what you do are very important things. However, make sure that what you say matches with what you believe, and what you do matches with what you say. Okay? I'm not going to repeat that because it was channeled. Okay? That's very important for you right now. It's really, really important. Say what you mean what you say. Very important. Okay? Also, there will be moments where you will have, it's like information is coming up and you're used to holding it, but then it just goes, I want to say like you spill out your beans. You might find yourself in a situation where you just do like a verbal diarrhea because you've held back for so long, and one day you just couldn't help yourself and off it went. You might surprise yourself. It's actually funny when I'm looking at it. You're gonna express it, and then you're gonna go, oh, what did I do? But then you're going to receive the feedback from the environment, and you're gonna say, wow, I spoke my truth, and look what I'm getting. I'm getting cooperation from outside. I'm hearing it works like magic. Okay? When you express your truth, the divine part of you makes sure that it matches your vibration with corresponding 3D human experience. Okay? When I say your truth, I don't mean just the truth you tell yourself, the truth that you truly believe in your bones. For example, if you are someone who feels not confident, but then you tell yourself, no, I'm confident. No, I'm confident. And it's not, your experience is not matching that, then that means you tell yourself that you are confident, but what you believe is that you are not. And that belief is tied to a story. Okay, and that story, in your case, pile number 3, is responsible for you, quote unquote, shutting down and not speaking your truth. Okay, it is that space back in the past, or in your past experience, that has cultivated this inner fear of speaking out. So some of you, it would be important for you to learn more about that, because once you understand the deeper story, there's an opportunity for you to recondition yourself from inside out. In other words, to create new conditions for yourself. Condition being foundation. Okay? They're saying your thoughts don't match your beliefs. Your thoughts don't match your beliefs. Can you give me an example? For example, again, the idea of prosperity, because it's a very human thing. You're thinking about money. I want money, I need money, I love money, I'm going to create money. You're focusing on money, but the actual underlying belief around money is one of lack. If you don't address that, they're showing me it's going to make a difference in terms of how you speak. Okay, so 1 second, back up for a moment. When you shift your belief around values, in general, value, and money is of value. When you shift your beliefs around values in you, when you become more of an independent thinker, when you begin to acknowledge your wins and your abilities and acknowledge your value, you will naturally be much more in a position to attract value and abundance to you. Okay, it's just naturally going to happen that way. Okay, if you want something but you are not getting it, and it's been that way for a long time, then that means that you have a different belief about what it is that you want to get. It's very important for you to see that in this moment. It's very, very important. Okay. Also, the other thing about when you are feeling of value, when you embody your own value, and you have value, when you embody it, there was a thought that came and went. Just one second. I don't know what the thought was. I knew it was about money, but what I'm going to say is when you embody your value, you're going to show up in the world very differently, and abundance is going to follow you. So there's a little bit about finances. So for some of you, this is going to connect to finances. Oh, thank you. And thank you. When you begin to speak your truth rather than suppressing, your ability to ask for more of what you want is going to be amplified. It's like if you're asking for what you want, but you are coming from a space of lack, then you can be doing a lot of asking, but you're not going to actually experience any of it. On the other hand, when you're coming from the energy of when you're coming from the vibration of I am full, I am prosperous, I am of value, then you will be in a better position to ask for more from life, and life is going to give it to you because it matches that vibration. That is how I want to say it to you. Okay. So what is shown here is an opportunity for you to experience more abundance, possibly a financial abundance, but there's a need for you to look at the parts of yourselves that you are rejecting because you feel that they're not of value. So there's a connection with those two. Okay. And last but not least, you have a turtle. Turtle to me is all about home, how you feel at home, and this is emotionally. Okay. You have a lot of emotions stuck in your body that make you feel not safe in the world. That is history. That is the past. Okay. And that would make sense why you would also have all this conflict, because inner conflict is fear-based. Okay. So what the universe is saying here is look at your own home. What baggage are you carrying that's not allowing you to be fully in your own power, fully in your own glory, fully in your own powerfulness, your exquisiteness? And likely you arrive at a place that says, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to be rejected. I'm afraid to be vilified. I'm afraid to be abandoned. All those wonderful things that again go back to space of separation. If we believe that we are separate, we're going to fear abandonment. If you believed in every single bone being part of your being, that there is no separation, that we are always, always part of something, there would be no abandonment. It wouldn't even exist. So it's going back to the message from the very beginning that we as humanity are healing our deepest core wound, which is wound of separation. Okay? And perhaps you are here to show others that we are all part of ourselves. We are all part of one. None of us are separate. We're unique, but we're not separate. And just because we identify as I, you and I are part of a greater whole. And living that and breathing that awareness gives us humans a different experience. So it will give you a different experience as well. So that's what I have for you, pile number 3. If you found this helpful, again, I would love for you to comment, like, share, subscribe, and let me know how this information resonates with you or not. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.